Good evening, good afternoon. How are you today? God bless all of you. Christos Anesti. So here we are for another session of G.R.O.W. With Father Joseph Samad and Kyriakos Dramonis, President of St. Demetrius Community. So we've transcended a few months now of this. We've learned how to do a virtual church. We learned how to build a church at home and bring the church back to our homes. So Kyriakos, in this day and age of home church, in that homeschooling, tell us what's new on the front from the standpoint of the parish and what we know as our guidelines for the future going forward.
Thank you, Tasso. Hello to everybody out there. I hope everyone is continuing to stay safe. Unfortunately, since we last spoke to you last week, we haven't had much new guidance in terms of what we can do with church services. So we must continue with the directive right now to continue the live streaming services. We were hoping that at some point this week we would have received new guidance as we saw some of the restrictions being eased on some of the businesses here in the state of Florida, but that directive did not come down yet. But we do hope to have something in the pipeline here soon, shortly.
Okay, and personally, your business is back open?
Yeah, we were able to reopen this week. At least one of my two businesses was, and so I've been navigating that as well on the personal front, and right. It's been going well so far.
Okay. And the guidelines for people who would like to attend, is it still to contact Father and stay under the 10 number in the church, and that is that?
Yeah, well,
you'll hear a lot.
Yeah, the real guideline there is just contact Father Joseph. If you have a special need or something, Father Joseph will be able to accommodate you. That's where we are with the parish council as well. And so, as of right now, the directive from the Archdiocese is to remain with the live streaming services. But I do think, and Father's pretty confident, that we'll be getting some kind of changes to that here shortly.
And the Anastasy service, the candles are still, there's about 25 of them, I think, up there? No?
Yeah, there's about 25 left. And if you want to come by during one of the services to pick that up, it's available as well. Okay. So you can do that.
So, Father, just so our parishioners know that the same kind of anguish that they have is the same kind of anguish you have, I have, Kyriakos has, and our Metropolitan Alexios has. I received a text, went back and forth with him this week. He is isolated at the Diaconia Center, which is closed down. Unfortunately, we had to cancel St. Stephen's summer camp for this year, which is very saddening to me, I told His Eminence. So tell us, at first this was hard for you. It was heartbreaking to you to not be able to celebrate Holy Week, but it's opened up a whole new world. Other than when we did some Three Scions last week, I noticed a lot of people from out of the state that weren't part of our parish, it seemed like, were doing Three Scions through our virtual church. Tell us what other experiences you've had and any unique ones like that.
Well, first of all, Christos Anesti. Second of all, nothing replaces the personal touch and the personal presence of us being together. This difficulty that happened, that was a challenging to all of us, clergy and laity as well. Nevertheless, even though it's not popular, it did have some fruits, and God opened different avenues, because even though when difficulties, just like the tragedy of Christ being laid in a tomb, God made the tomb a font of life. So that is the nature about God and life. So there were many other positive things that happened. So we are doing either prayers or Three Scions or services for people that are not part of our parish, and we are serving other parish, as we can all see through the live streaming. People are logging on and watching the services from so many places outside of the country, outside of the continent. So in that sense, we can see in a visible, tangible way how the church is global and beyond geography and time, in a sense that we can understand. We have always known through the theology and the teaching of the church that the church is global in earth and in heaven, back in history, today and tomorrow, and that is all together. It's very hard to understand, but this reality gives us some sense of how that is possible, you know. So we have come to about 2 months of doing that, and it showed us that kind of eternal element of the church.
And we see our numbers growing in the worship, for lack of a better term, on the online.
They are,
Okay.
yes, they are. And sometimes it's like, who is going to get first on the service after we go live, you know?
So G.R.O.W, I understand that one of the things the parish council has done, you've had several meetings with using Zoom. I understand one of the things that you are planning is a virtual coffee hour.
That's right.
Tell us how that's going to work.
Yeah, really quick. Again, we're going to have a couple moderators. Next Sunday, May 17th, will be our virtual coffee hour. It will happen immediately after the Divine Liturgy that Father will be streaming live. And then what it is, basically, everyone will join a Zoom meeting room. The two moderators will allow everybody in the meeting room to have an opportunity to say hello to other members of the community, wish everyone well, give a brief update of maybe what you've been doing with your time during this pandemic. And that way it's just an opportunity for maybe some kids to see other kids that they haven't seen for a couple months, some familiar faces, maybe people that you gather around with during your normal coffee hours here at the church. So we're trying to bring back some sense of normalcy during these abnormal times, and this is one step towards doing that.
You realize we're a Greek church, right?
Yeah.
And the only reason I tell you this is because I was on a Zoom call last week that had 137 people on it, and I certainly hope we get that many people on the Zoom call for the coffee hour. And it's like when you ever see that movie? What was it? The God that God Almighty, or no, what was it?
Bruce Almighty?
Bruce Almighty.
Yeah.
And all the prayers are coming into his head at the same time.
That's right.
It was like 1,000 voices going on. That's like what it was. But people are carrying on conversations like, hey, G.R.O.W, how you doing? How's your kids? And they're having that conversation. And Cindy's going, hey, Pata, this is what I'm doing.
The beauty of Zoom is the moderators control the mute button. So we were to try and keep it orderly. We're going to let everybody have an opportunity, and then they'll have their 15 seconds or 15 minutes of fame, I guess you could say, and then we can move on. So,
All right, good.
but everyone will get an opportunity to say hi to other members of the community.
So, Father, do you have a starting time for that, by the way?
Immediately after the Divine Liturgy. So let's say, when Father's done, probably about 5 to 10 minutes after.
So you're off the hook for having a short sermon that day.
It depends how you define short.
Well, more than 4 foot tall.
Terminology in a human sense is elastic. So I will go by my understanding of short, for sure.
So hopefully we will have a greater attendance to the liturgy, and people will be right there, and you'll remind them about it, so they can join in.
Well, we still have a few days until we get all the logistics of how many, what kind of changes we have, but whether we have people here or people are still at home, we're going to have the coffee hour right after the church.
So, Father, on a serious note, Philoptos just did a survey on their website, their Facebook page, in regards to their the Panilla luncheon.
Yes.
What they find out on that?
Well, I don't know the results yet. The survey is out. It's going to be in the bulletin. The Philoptochos, the Panaya luncheon, was one of their big fundraisers that funds the back to school, the backpacks,
Right.
the supplies to schools, to children in the areas that are low income. And they would like to do that. And they're looking for a way. So please see the survey, respond to it, so that will give them a sense how they can plan, what type of event they can plan, because they would like to continue their supports to children going back to school, providing them with the supplies they need. So it is on my Facebook page. It is coming in the bulletin, and the more people can respond to that, the better idea they can have.
Okay, good. So take an active interest in Philoptos' role, and go to either Father's Facebook or the Philoptos Facebook, and fill out the questionnaire, or pick it up from the
bulletin that's coming tonight.
The one out tonight. And that way we can get great feedback. You have the opportunity now to give them some feedback, and we can start to plan. And if you have ideas, I'm sure they would appreciate those ideas, so that they can continue to make it a success, whether we're in hopefully by then we'll be present and be able to do that. Kyriako, that being said, I know that you've had several meetings with the PC and Parish Council, by the way, that's PC, that you're coming up with different ideas about how to handle as we repopulate and that. Tell us a little bit about what things you've thought of and innovated.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the big guidelines will probably come from the Archdiocese and whatever governmental regulations we're asked to maintain. But when you take those guidelines and apply them to our church specifically, that's where we're trying to work out some of the logistics. And we're having meetings on how we're going to handle social distancing, seating in the pews, things like that, what kind of capacity we can have. Because we will have some limitations when we do get to reopen. That's what we're expecting. So those are the types of things we've been conducting, how to maintain a safe environment, safe, clean, so that everyone feels comfortable to come and attend church. And, basically we'll let those guidelines come out, and then we're kind of ready to just spring onto that and just apply it to our particular property here.
Do you feel like, I know everybody always is, whenever you're in a role of leadership, everybody always is critical of the leaders. Do you feel like this has engaged your PC a lot more to take a different level of interest in what they do in the church?
The interest has always been there from the PC, but it has required a little bit more work and a little bit more time, which thankfully, and I guess you could say unfortunately at the same time,
right,
because of the closures, it has allowed us to give more time at this point. At least for me it has. And so, the interest is there, and the desire is there to do the right thing. As far as the criticism goes, we're not really concerned about that. We're just trying to make sure we make the best decision at the time.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's been criticism, but I just say in general, usually.
I haven't heard any. Yeah, I haven't heard any. And I know there's criticism out there. You hear it with the governor, you hear it on the national level, I'm sure in the state, county, all the different levels there's criticism. And unfortunately, that just comes with the territory. There's always going to be two sides to the fence. We just kind of hope that everyone can be a little bit understanding about the times, and they're unprecedented right now. Nobody's really had to handle something like this in their lifetime, and everyone has a different way of viewing it.
And so my point of the question was, you find like it's intensified the parish council's vigor for what they do.
Sure, without question, without question.
Some of them forcibly, but I notice, because I've noticed a lot more activity from them, a lot more communication from them, which in the past, if everything was going smoothly, they might have sat back in the back. So it really has been a blessing. It certainly challenged you as a leader, and has challenged, Billy Gehagen as a vice president, and I know you have another vice president too.
Yeah, Dina Paspalakis.
Yeah. So hopefully it helps them to mature in their role, because it is a young parish council that has a lot of energy.
Yeah, we've definitely been put our feet to the fire on this one, that's for sure. So.
Yeah. So, okay, Father, your impressions, things that have impacted you in the last 2 months, personal takeaways from this venture and this journey.
Well, I want to assure all the parishioners of St. Demetrius and our community at large and our city and surrounding, because we do affect and our surroundings are impacted by us, that we have a very good caliber of very dedicated parishioners. We have parishioners who predate St. Demetrius, that are still around, still alive, and their vigor, love for St. Demetrius is there. We have parishioners that grew up with the community, and others that who are growing, who came much after, and they're still very much part of the St. Demetrius community. So we have very good caliber, dedicated parishioners. Maybe they did not realize how much they love the parish until something like this happened, and this is all came to the service. And this is definitely a great wealth, and it's up to us to take this great wealth, this dedication to the church, to God, to Jesus Christ, and take it wherever we want after those things go back to normal, and make St. Demetrius not only inspiring mission within our surrounding here locally, but on a much larger scale. So I am very thankful that this challenge has opened my eyes to see the depth and the wealth that we have in the community, for sure.
G.R.O.W., your impression or takeaway of the last 2 months?
You know, one thing I focus on with my managers at work is adaptability and the ability to change. And that's just something that I always took for granted, but I also found out that during this time, I was at the first unwilling to be adaptable to change. Right. And so I have learned from myself and my experiences through this pandemic to be a little bit more flexible and know that the plan is not always going to go according to plan. I remember as things were winding into this pandemic and getting a little bit more serious, the plan was changing day by day and then hour by hour, and it seemed minute by minute. And so now as things ease out of these restrictions, the plan will change again. Just be patient. You know, we are communicating well with the community, so I think everybody will be able to understand that things will change from time to time, but overall, we're going to get through it.
And I would suggest to you that if you'd like to ask a question of Father Joseph or of G.R.O.W. or of Dr. Mike Epitropoulos for our other one that deals with spiritual and bodily health, if you just send them to Father Joseph or send them to myself, we'd be happy to funnel them into this. If you have something that you would like to do, to volunteer, please go to the website or go to Father Joseph's Facebook page and say, Father, I have an idea, or Father, I'd like to do this, or why don't we do this? And that can go to the parish council. It might be something that can be acted on. Take an active role. This is your community. This is not his, mine, and his community. It's our community. And we're St. Demetrius of Daytona Beach, Florida, so our community relies on us. And there are several things ahead that we will have to think through and process, and we wish you only the best. And as I always end this with telling you that every day, I know personally that Father Joseph prays for you, he blesses you, and we all thank you that you're in our community. We hope soon that you will be back face to face with us. Till then, push yourself to take an active role in your community, either by coming by and volunteering to clean, or an idea that you have that you would like to act on. God bless, and thank you very much.